Your gut is sending you distress signals right now, and most people completely ignore them. Bloating after meals, waking up exhausted, skin that keeps breaking out no matter what you try, a brain that feels wrapped in cotton. These are not random inconveniences. These are your body screaming that something is deeply wrong beneath the surface. The gut is not just a digestion machine. It is the command center of your entire immune system, your mental health, your energy, and your hormonal balance. When it breaks down, everything breaks down with it. Science has a name for this breakdown. It is called dysbiosis, and it is far more dangerous than most people realize. Dysbiosis simply means your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms living inside your intestinal tract, has fallen out of balance. The harmful microorganisms have overtaken the beneficial ones. When this happens, the protective lining of your gut begins to deteriorate. Tiny gaps form between the cells of your intestinal wall, and suddenly, substances that were never supposed to leave your digestive tract begin slipping directly into your bloodstream. This is what researchers call intestinal permeability, more commonly known as leaky gut. Once those toxins enter your blood, your immune system launches a full-scale attack. The result is systemic inflammation. Inflammation that does not stay in one place, but spreads to your brain, your skin, your joints, your organs, and your hormonal pathways. Research has now linked gut dysbiosis to some of the most serious health conditions of our time, including cancer, clinical depression, type 2 diabetes, and autoimmune diseases. This is not fringe science. This is published, peer-reviewed research that is reshaping how medicine understands the human body. To understand why your symptoms feel so scattered and unrelated, you need to understand what actually happens when your gut lining becomes compromised. Your intestinal wall is designed to be selectively permeable. It allows nutrients to pass through into your bloodstream while keeping harmful substances locked inside the digestive tract. This barrier is maintained by tight junction proteins, microscopic structures that hold your intestinal cells together like a sealed zipper. When dysbiosis takes hold, harmful bacteria produce compounds that degrade these tight junction proteins. The zipper begins to open. Once those gaps form, a particularly dangerous substance called lipopolysaccharide, which is a toxin found on the outer membrane of certain harmful bacteria, leaks directly into your bloodstream. Scientists call this endotoxemia, the presence of endotoxins in the blood. Your immune system recognizes these endotoxins as foreign invaders and immediately activates inflammatory cytokines, which are chemical messengers that trigger widespread inflammation throughout the body. This is not a localized reaction, it is a full-body fire. And because inflammation is the root mechanism behind nearly every chronic disease known to medicine, the downstream consequences are enormous. One of the most well-documented consequences is insulin resistance. When inflammatory cytokines interfere with insulin receptor signaling, your cells stop responding properly to insulin. Your pancreas compensates by producing more. Blood sugar regulation collapses, and the pathway toward type 2 diabetes opens wide. This is not a coincidence or a correlation. It is a direct biological chain reaction that begins in your gut. Bloating is almost always the first sign people notice, and it is also the most dismissed. When harmful bacteria ferment undigested food in your gut, they produce excessive gas. But the bloating is not just uncomfortable. It signals that your microbial balance is off and your digestive enzymes are struggling. Brain fog comes next, and it feels like thinking through wet cement. Your gut produces approximately 90% of your body's serotonin. When dysbiosis disrupts the gut-brain axis, the direct communication highway between your intestinal nervous system and your brain, neurotransmitter production collapses. Cognitive clarity goes with it. Skin breakouts, particularly acne, eczema, and rosacea, are your skin trying to expel what your gut cannot contain. When endotoxins flood your bloodstream, your skin becomes a secondary elimination organ. Inflammation triggers excess sebum production and disrupts your skin's microbiome simultaneously. Food sensitivities that seem to multiply over time are a direct result of leaky gut. When undigested food particles escape through the compromised intestinal lining, your immune system flags them as threats. Each exposure creates a stronger immune response, and suddenly foods you ate your whole life begin making you feel sick. Chronic fatigue that sleep does not fix is one of the most debilitating signs. Systemic inflammation forces your immune system into a constant state of high alert. Maintaining that alert state is metabolically expensive. Your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells, become impaired by inflammatory signals, leaving you depleted regardless of how much rest you get. Mood swings and unexplained anxiety are deeply tied to gut dysfunction. The vagus nerve carries signals directly from your gut to your brain. When the gut environment is toxic, those signals are toxic too. Disrupted serotonin and dopamine production creates emotional instability that no amount of positive thinking can fully override. Sugar cravings that feel impossible to resist are not a willpower problem. Harmful bacteria and yeast overgrowths, particularly candida, literally feed on sugar and simple carbohydrates. They influence your appetite signals to ensure their own survival, creating cravings that feel urgent and compulsive. Frequent illness, catching every cold, taking longer to recover, feeling run down constantly, reflects a compromised immune system. Approximately 70% of your immune tissue lives in and around your gut. When the gut is inflamed and imbalanced, your immune defenses are perpetually distracted and weakened. Joint pain and stiffness that appears without obvious injury is a sign that systemic inflammation has reached your musculoskeletal system. Inflammatory cytokines released in response to gut-derived endotoxins accumulate in joint tissue, triggering the same mechanisms seen in autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. Irregular digestion, alternating between constipation and diarrhea, unpredictable bowel movements, persistent discomfort, is the gut's most direct cry for help. Motility, the rhythmic muscular movement that moves food through your digestive tract, is regulated by the enteric nervous system, which is profoundly influenced by your microbial balance. When that balance is disrupted, the entire rhythm falls apart. What makes gut dysfunction so insidious is that each of these 10 signs can be explained away individually. Doctors prescribe antacids for bloating, antidepressants for mood swings, topical creams for skin issues, and pain relievers for joint discomfort. The root cause goes completely unaddressed. Meanwhile, the inflammation continues to build. The research connecting gut dysbiosis to serious disease is not subtle. Studies published in journals including Nature, Cell, and The Lancet have demonstrated direct links between an imbalanced microbiome and colorectal cancer, major depressive disorder, Alzheimer's disease, lupus, multiple sclerosis, and metabolic syndrome. The gut is not a secondary system. It is the foundation. When the foundation is cracked, the entire structure becomes unstable. The encouraging reality is that the gut microbiome is one of the most responsive systems in the human body. It can shift meaningfully within days based on what you feed it, how you live, and what you remove from your environment. The damage is real, but it is not permanent. Healing is not only possible, for most people, it is achievable without pharmaceutical intervention when approached with the right knowledge and consistency. Recognizing these warning signs is the first and most important step. If you identified with 3 or more of the 10 signs covered here, your gut is very likely in a state of dysbiosis, and your body has been trying to tell you for longer than you may realize. The next step is understanding exactly what to do about it, not with expensive supplements or complicated protocols, but with targeted, science-backed natural strategies that directly address the root cause. The next video breaks down the specific natural remedies that have the strongest research behind them for restoring microbial balance, repairing the intestinal lining, and reversing the inflammation cycle. If this information opened your eyes, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss content like this. The answers your body has been waiting for are closer than you think.